Good afternoon. An investigation is underway after multiple people were stabbed in North York late last night.
5 people were taken to hospital, including 2 with life-threatening injuries. CTV's Janice Golding's been following the investigation and has more details. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, a man who's 53 years old is now facing 7 charges, including aggravated assault and assault with a weapon after 5 people who all knew each other were taken to hospital from a home behind us here. 2, as you mentioned, still in critical condition. Now, police say they arrested this man who's 53 years old, and you can see him in handcuffs with bags around his hands in our video. This is after multiple people were stabbed in a home on Plumtree Way in North York. Investigators say they received unknown trouble calls at around 9:45 last night, and when they arrived at a residence near Bathurst and Steeles, they found multiple people who had been injured. Toronto Paramedic Services, meanwhile, says they brought 5 adults to hospital. 3 of the victims sustained life-threatening injuries. One sustained minor injuries, and another person was taken in for assessment.
You know, this is a safe and quiet area, so I expect hearing a news or knowing that something happened here is very scary.
The street is still safe. Most of our street are older people, so they are quiet, they're going around his own business.
People are always concerned when they hear about an incident like this, and the community safety, making sure the perpetrator is behind bars as quickly as possible, which in this case is arrested. So, I mean, one thing we want to do is make sure that that people are safe, let police do their work. Obviously, this is a tragic incident.
Now, police say the 2 victims who sustained critical injuries are both male. The 2 victims who are in a non-serious condition are both female. Reporting live from Janice Golding, now back to Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. Shots were fired at a Scarborough home late last night. It happened near Military Trail and Old Kingston Road at around 11. A car was damaged in the shooting. No injuries have been reported. And police have not provided any details on possible suspects. They're asking anyone with information to come forward.
The sexual assault trial of billionaire businessman Frank Stronach is continuing in a downtown courtroom today. Stronach has pleaded not guilty to a dozen charges linked to 7 complainants over alleged incidents that date as far back as the 1970s. Last week, Stronach's lawyer accused the first complainant of being a storyteller, claiming her memory of the alleged incident involving Stronach had changed over time.
The Ministry of Labour is investigating after 3 workers were injured in a building collapse near Hamilton. Police say a concrete porch at a residential construction site in Stony Creek collapsed, trapping 3 workers underneath. Emergency crews were able to rescue the workers, all of whom were taken to hospital. 1 worker suffered a serious leg injury, but none of the injuries are considered life-threatening. Police are assisting the Ministry of Labour with their investigation. Still to come, checking in on the boys of summer. We'll have the latest from the Blue Jays spring training in Dunedin a little later in the newscast. But first, Coca-Cola Canada Bottling is making a major investment in its flagship location in Brampton.
The company is committing more than $140 million to renovate and expand the manufacturing, distribution, and sales center. CTV's Beth Bagnell joins us live now with more on this announcement. Beth.
Yes, Michelle, I'm at Coke Canada Bottling. This is a large bottling plant near highways 407 and 410, and this is where the company made an announcement this morning of $141 million into the facility.
We got to have a Coke Zero. I'll tell you, I just don't do this as well. I got Coke Zero at home. Tastes delicious.
Premier Doug Ford was here to celebrate the announcement, which does not include provincial funding. The investment will go towards expanding manufacturing, distribution, and sales. It will also introduce a new state-of-the-art production line capable of producing at least 20 million additional beverage cases and create up to 500 jobs during construction. The government says the expansion will be built exclusively by Canadian tradespeople and will have 75% of materials sourced domestically.
This announcement marks the largest single investment that our owners have made in our business to date. This will be our most technologically advanced line in the country. It's going to allow us to produce even more of the products locally, supplying the city of Brampton, supplying all of Ontario, and supplying Eastern Canada for decades to come.
We're living through a time when many workers and many uniform members are facing uncertainty and job loss as a result of a trade war by the United States. So let me say how great it is to see a sector like the food and beverage sector continue to grow and thrive and to provide good union jobs to Canadians.
With world-class companies like Coke Canada Bottling investing $141 million to expand their operations right here, creating 500 new jobs during construction and doubling down on Ontario workers and our world-class supply chain.
Ford says there will be reciprocal jobs from the investment into things like steel and drywall. The CEO of Coke Canada Bottling says it has been in business for 7 years and is family run. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonald. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. A major change is coming for Ontario's youngest students as Ontario's Education Ministry beefs up the kindergarten curriculum.
CTV's Michelle Molesky tells us the province is asking teachers to double down on reading and math.
Kindergarten is the start of a 14-year journey of education. In Ontario, it's play-based.
We want them to play. We want them to still have that curiosity and learning to extend their thinking and discovery through kindergarten.
That won't change in September. The change is students will have certain expectations to meet. For example,
our kindergartens will be exploring, counting, estimating up to 20. And they'll be doing addition and subtraction up to 10.
The teachers will be expected to help students reach those specific thresholds.
They want a real focus on literacy and mathematics and explicitly teaching it instead of implicitly doing it.
Teacher Union President Mario Spagnuolo says his members have known about this change coming for a few years. It was supposed to be implemented this school year.
We actually are thankful that the ministry listened to the feedback and gave 1 year to try to get our mind around it.
The change will take effect in September.
I don't think there will be too much of a change, but it is a new curriculum that they're going to have to learn. The ministry's only given a 30-minute webinar that's available for teachers.
So what can parents do to prepare their kids for the classroom?
I think having those authentic conversations with your child, those are already happening at the dinner table, in the car rides, asking them about what they see, what they hear, what colors do you see, where do you see numbers?
And the other thing is just going back to the basics, read a book. Have your child read a book with you, sit in your lap and just read. That is so important, and away from technology.
Both major boards in Windsor are hosting their kindergarten open houses on Thursday, February 19th. Michelle Molesky, CTV News.
The Canadian Civil Liberties Association was joined by several education unions at Queen's Park this morning.
The groups gathered to express their concerns about the province's move to take over several Ontario school boards. CTV's Rahim Ladhani joins us live now from Queen's Park with the latest on this. Rahim.
Michelle and Nathan, good afternoon. As students and teachers are essentially calling on the provincial government to back off their schools. Right now, the provincial government has taken over control of 7 school boards. That includes the Toronto District School Board and the Toronto Catholic District School Board. What that means is that a third of Ontario students are currently in boards which are run by appointed supervisors, not the trustees who were elected. Ontario's education minister argues this move was taken because trustees mismanaged funds and put board spending ahead of students' ability to learn. However, critics see this quite differently. They say this is less about finances and more about centralizing power in Queen's Park. They argue that class sizes have gone up, the province is cutting funding, and that private interests are being prioritized. Have a listen to what's being said.
As decisions continue to be made without the input of students, students continue to suffer. Meanwhile, music programs are being scrapped, pools are being shut down, and students are losing access to laptops. Students continue to bear the cost of underfunding in the TDSB and boards across the province.
The government has created a crisis. They're now distracting and trying to get us to talk about orange juice or packs of gum or trips to Italy or even class sizes in Toronto, when in fact it's $6.3 billion that has been cut. That's put us into a situation where both students are desperate, educators are desperate, and the solution is certainly not by eliminating a level of governance in democratically elected trustees.
Now, the Canadian Civil Liberties Association was also on hand at the press conference today. They stopped short of saying they're considering a constitutional challenge. Instead, they say they remain open to working with the province to reach an amicable solution. Reporting live, I'm Rahim Ladhani. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Rahim. The province has announced 30 new appointments to the Order of Ontario. The Toronto International Film Festival CEO Cameron Bailey, hockey icon Don Cherry, and Rogers chairman Ed Rogers are among the 30 people being honored. The recipients are being celebrated for what the province calls remarkable achievements and lasting contributions to Ontario. The appointees will be honored at a ceremony in Toronto later this year.
A note for commuters, there are early subway closures on both TTC lines 1 and 2 to be aware of this week. Starting tonight, service on line 1 will end at 11 p.m. between Finch and Eglinton stations to allow for signal upgrades. The early closure will last through Thursday. On line 2, service between Keele and St. George stations will end at midnight through Friday. This is to accommodate track work along the line. In both cases, shuttle buses are set to run in place of the trains, with regular service resuming each morning around 6 a.m.
We have more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. Today is the calm before yet another storm, so if you're out there ice skating, perhaps enjoy this. In addition to the snow, it looks to be bringing in some freezing rain and also some ice pellets. Lindsay Morrison has a look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
Yeah, Nathan, this is a bit more of a complicated weather forecast because of the temperature hovering close to freezing and, yes, the varying types of precipitation. But you're right, all is calm, all is clear. Right now, we had some fog earlier today that has burned off, and we're enjoying a mix of sun and cloud along with some very light winds. The winds are going to strengthen into tomorrow, too. Temperature-wise, it is now 6 degrees. So we have surpassed our forecast daytime high of +5 for today. Nice afternoon to get outside, enjoy, maybe run a few errands before this moves in. We've got a patchwork of weather watches, warnings and advisories in place, including a special weather statement for the city of Toronto, a winter storm warning for northern areas of the GTA and communities eastward. There are also some freezing rain warnings in place. So yes, some snow, some freezing rain and ice pellets, all a possibility with this incoming storm for tomorrow, along with some gusty winds. So we'll break it down for you, try to give you an idea of how much of each type of precip is expected and the timing of it all. That's ahead. But for now, Michelle, I'll send things over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, the Blue Jays are inching closer to their first spring training game when they'll take on the Philadelphia Phillies on Saturday. And CP24's Melissa Duggan joins us live now from the team's complex in Dunedin, Florida, with more on how they're preparing for this upcoming season. Melissa, it's a nice day in Toronto, but it looks even nicer weather-wise where you are.
Michelle, we are sending that sunshine your way. Nice and warm here, and the warm-ups are continuing. This is the second day of full squad spring training, the whole team together. And after yesterday, I feel like things are even more loose today. The team really feeling like a united force here, something that fans want to see. They're gathering right now, by the way, hoping to get a chance to get an autograph, a selfie. Plenty of Canadians, plenty of people from Toronto, and Zelda from Newmarket is here. Tell me about your experience so far, Zelda.
Oh, it's been amazing. This is my 4th year coming, and I've met so many of the players, so many coaches. They're just as important too. Met a lot of different people as well here with a whole bunch of Canadians.
What are the exchanges like with the team? What do they say to you? What are you asking them?
They smile. They're so happy to be with the fans. Like, I just saw Dalton, and he came right over. I said, "Can I have a picture? Can I have a picture?" And sure enough, so they're just very happy to be with us, I think.
I did happen to see Dalton Varsho do a couple of rounds. I think he met with pretty much everybody here.
I think so too, actually, because you just do the full gamut right around here.
What are you feeling about this team looking at the 2026 season?
You know what? I've got this little pit at the bottom of my stomach, but I'm so excited, and I know they're going to do it this year. For sure. Like, there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever.
Do you think the Jays are going to take it all the way this year? Yeah? All right, okay, so that's the kind of confidence we're seeing here in Dunedin. And we do see that chance to have an interaction with the players, and that's because they're playing just over here. That is where batting practice has taken place. It has just wrapped up. And now what we're expecting is for team manager John Schneider to join us over here. That's where the media's gathered together. He's going to be speaking to cameras, and also George Springer. We're going to be hearing from him a little bit later on as well. And here comes a couple of players, Alejandro Kirk, Andres Jimenez. Hey guys, how are you? See, this is what we get here at spring training, a chance to get this close to the players. As I mentioned, we're expected to hear from Springer in just a second. Of course, he's coming off a stellar season, one of his best ever offensively. 36 years old. Yeah, he dealt with some injuries. How is he feeling right now? Will we be seeing him primarily as a designated hitter, or we're going to see him in the outfield? Listen, that's one of the questions we could be getting tossed his way in the next little bit. And Michelle, we're going to bring you those answers a little bit later on. Back to you.
Ooh, looking forward to it. CP24's Melissa Duggan live for us in beautiful Dunedin. Appreciate it.
Well, the mother of Maya Gabala, a young survivor of the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting, says her daughter is responding as she recovers in hospital. The 12-year-old remains in critical condition at Vancouver's Children's Hospital. She reportedly tried to lock the door of the school's library as the shooter approached before being injured. She's unable to move her right side, and her eyes are not responding to light. However, her mother says she's regained more movement on her left side. A GoFundMe to support Gabala has raised more than $430,000. Meanwhile, portables are arriving in Tumbler Ridge to allow kids to return to school in the community. The new facilities will be set up on the grounds of the Tumbler Ridge Elementary School. It's the first phase in resuming classes for high school students. The announcement comes after the secondary school was turned back over to the local school district after RCMP completed their investigation of the facility. A report into a major scandal which rocked Quebec and had people lining up in the cold for services 2 winters ago has been released.
It is placing the blame on high-ranking civil servants, saying they lied to the government about a decade of massive cost overruns. CTV Geneviève Beauchemin has those details.
C'était ça que j'attendais tous, je pense.
In a more than 800-page report, Judge Denis Galland provides a detailed roadmap of the scandal.
Trop vaste, trop ambitieux.
He calls the program to digitize services of the SAAQ, Quebec's Automobile Insurance Board, too big, too ambitious, too risky. It was the biggest of its kind in Canada when it was launched. But Galland also says officials deliberately lied for 10 years to hide cost overruns pegged at around $500 million. In 2023, the fumbling of the website launch forced Quebecers to line up in the cold for hours as they raced to register their vehicles or renew their driver's licenses. There's a line from here to Peru, said this man at the time. The scandal drove down Quebec Premier François Legault's popularity. He says the report now clearly shows his government did not know the full extent of cost overruns. And he says he's looking into potential legal action against officials who lied. But one opposition critic says Quebecers were victims of a holdup of public funds and that government guardrails failed.
Even if the SAC lied to them, then they lied to us. Délibérément menti.
Galland says asking top officials to be honest seems to go without saying, but he did make 26 recommendations, including to set up a specialized digital transformation team within the public service. This to lessen reliance on contracts with big private companies. That's possibly a lesson for other jurisdictions as provinces race to digitize healthcare and other services.
We need these kind of projects. We don't have the choice. We cannot go back to the paper.
The Commission says this scandal should not discourage other digital transformation programs, but could serve as a warning signal. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
We want to take you back live to Dunedin, Florida, where look who it is. George Springer, the man who helped propel the Jays into their first World Series since '93, is speaking to our Melissa Duggan and others. Let's listen in.
Eyesight, eye plane, all that stuff. I don't know how to describe his slider. I've tried to hit it. I can't. I haven't hit it. So, yeah, he's very unique.
George, on a personal level, obviously you performed at a really high level last year. What are some of the things that you did well last year specific things you did well last year you think are key to carrying over this year?
Yeah, I mean, I just think I was able to stay within myself a lot. You know, I trusted Lou, Pop, and Hunter a lot, and I'll rely on those guys again. You know, especially Akko, you know, he's new here, so you know, I'm going to rely on all of those three guys again. Okay.
Thanks,
Yep, excuse me. I got to go find my shoes.
Oh, we just caught the tail end there. That was George Springer at spring training in Dunedin. We'll leave it there.
Well, to other news, Canada's inflation rate slowed slightly in January, according to new data from Stats Canada. Inflation currently stands at 2.3%. The decline in annual price growth between December and January is being attributed mostly to gas prices. The number was also impacted by Ottawa's temporary sales tax holiday on a range of products last year.
U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening the death penalty for the kidnappers of Nancy Guthrie if she is not returned alive. Trump made the threat in an interview with the New York Post. He says her abductors will face the most severe federal consequences if she is found dead. The 84-year-old, who is the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, went missing from her home in Tucson, Arizona more than 2 weeks ago now.
It is never too late to do the right thing.
Meanwhile, the FBI has cleared Guthrie's family as suspects in her possible abduction. Gloves appearing to match a pair worn by a suspect seen in surveillance video were found near Nancy Guthrie's home. Preliminary DNA results have linked them to an unknown man. The FBI is waiting for official confirmation before putting the DNA into a national database to try and identify the suspect. Investigators also say the suspect was wearing a backpack exclusively sold by Walmart. They're working with Walmart management to see if they can find other leads.
U.S. civil rights activist Jesse Jackson has died. Jackson, who was a Baptist minister, worked closely with Martin Luther King Jr. at the beginning of his career. He also ran for the Democratic presidential nomination twice. In a statement, Jackson's family described him as a servant leader, not only to our family, but to the oppressed, the voiceless, and the overlooked around the world. No cause of death has been released, but his family says he died peacefully, surrounded by loved ones. Rosemary Sadler with the Ontario Black History Society spoke about Jackson's impact on the civil rights movement in Canada.
He reminded us that, you know, the border didn't separate the difficulties that faced oppressed peoples. And that was part of the reason that he worked on alliances. He worked on both Operation Push, People United to Save Humanity, as well as the Rainbow Coalition, to find a way to address issues from the ground up, issues that affect racialized people, youth, justice issues, faith-based issues, in order to make things better for us all. And I think he did a great job of that.
Jesse Jackson was 84 years old.
Ukraine and Russia have begun 2 days of U.S.-mediated peace talks in Geneva. Today's discussions were expected to focus on the main sticking point, territory. Moscow is demanding that the remaining 20% of the eastern region of Donetsk be handed over, something Ukraine refuses to do. Ukrainian negotiators say security and humanitarian issues are also on the agenda. Before the talks, Russia carried out heavy airstrikes overnight that included severe damage to the power network in Odessa. Tens of thousands of people were left without heat and water.
Canada has added to its medal haul at the Winter Games, securing another gold medal, this time on the speed skating track. CTV's Scott Hurst has been following all the action in Italy and joins us now with more. Scott, another day, another gold.
Nathan, good afternoon. In fact, we're at 3 days in a row. We have now got a gold medal, the most recent one coming just a short time ago in women's speed skating. The team pursued, in fact, the reigning Olympic champions from Canada, defending their title 4 years after winning in Olympic record time at Beijing 2022. Now once again on top of the podium in the women's team pursuit. The incredible trio of Yvonne Blondin, Valerie Malte, and Isabelle Weideman beating the Netherlands in the final race, and earlier in the day beating the Americans in a semi-final race. Now all three of these women are highly decorated speed skaters on their own, but of course as part of this team, back-to-back champions Olympic champions in the women's team pursuit. Isabel Weideman, in fact, won 3 medals at her second Olympic appearance at Beijing 2022. Yvonne Blondin winning 2 Olympic medals at Beijing 2022. Valérie Malte now has overall 4 Olympic medals throughout her storied career, and she's competed in every Olympic Winter Games since Vancouver 2010. Our medal count, Nathan, now stands at 12, 3 golds, 4 silver, and 5 bronze medals.
Pretty good. Also, one of the biggest rivalries in sports, Canada and the U.S. in women's hockey. And there's a big game, of course, on Thursday.
The rematch is set, and this is what hockey fans have been waiting for. Canada-U.S. in the women's gold medal game. This game is coming up on Thursday after Canada booked its ticket to the gold medal match after beating Switzerland yesterday. Maybe more of a nail-biter than we're all hoping for. A final score of 2-1 over Switzerland. 2 goals, actually, from Marie-Philippe Poulin, who is back from injury. And now the finals rematch is set against the Americans. As I mentioned, this game coming up on Thursday. Canadians, however, are the defending Olympic champions, so looking forward to that game between Canada and the U.S. for women's hockey gold.
Yeah, can't wait. CTV Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Well, with a couple of different types of precipitation in the forecast, I wanted to remind you of the difference between freezing rain and ice pellets. Freezing rain, it looks like rain, but it freezes on contact and can be quite dangerous, making for some very slippery surfaces, resulting in some power outages. Ice pellets is exactly what that sounds like. It looks and feels like ice falling from the sky, and it can accumulate the same way snow does. Here's a look at your traveler's forecast. So a bit of snow, a bit of freezing rain, and certainly some ice pellets mixing in there, all possible through tomorrow. Here's how that storm looks, and yeah, it's been a while since we've had a system like this with multicolors on the forecast radar. So we're going to break this down for you on the other side of the break. You're watching CTV News at noon, and we'll be right back.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
People around the world are ringing in the Lunar New Year. Premier Doug Ford offered his best wishes to all those marking the occasion.
Happy Lunar New Year, Ontario. As we welcome the Year of the Horse, I want to extend my best wishes to everyone celebrating across our great province. This time of renewal is especially meaningful for many Asian communities who enrich Ontario through their vibrant cultures, rich traditions, and lasting contributions to the shared success of our province. Wishing everyone across Ontario a happy, healthy, and prosperous Lunar New Year.
And in honor of Lunar New Year and the Year of the Fire Horse, a new contemporary art pop-up has opened up at Crybaby Gallery in downtown Toronto. And that is where we find our Jessica Smith this hour with more. Jess.
We are celebrating the Year of the Fire Horse, Michelle, and this pop-up is so beautiful. A collection and collaboration between culture and community. And I'm joined by the artist of the work now, Peter Chan. Now talk to me about the significance of the blend of culture between Hong Kong and here in Toronto in Canada.
Hi. So here we have like a bunch of my oil paintings. These paintings are inspired by my background, being born in Hong Kong and spending most of my time in Canada. So the pop-up will be up until the 22nd, from the 18th to 22nd, so feel free to check it out.
Talk to me about the kind of inspiration behind the work, because I'm seeing dominoes played there, and that's big in the Caribbean community, so that's kind of a shared thing that we have. And then you've got this kind of blend between the nature, your history, and we're seeing a little bit of that connection between the blending of your life maybe in Hong Kong and your life here.
So I spent a good amount of years in Hong Kong, and then I experienced a lot of my childhood there. So a lot of the paintings have a hybrid kind of part of both the Asian and the Western. And for some of my paintings, they reference like themes of like superstition, prosperity, and also the family history. Also like a lot of games about, like the mahjong, for example, so or other forms of like games of chance that I really enjoy.
It is so cool to see, you know, culture and someone's personal story displayed in this way. Have you ever exhibited in the city before or exhibited at Crybaby Gallery?
I've exhibited in the city several times before, and I haven't exhibited for a few years, but because I've been doing a lot of things outside. But it was a great opportunity to exhibit here once again.
So we're in the year of the fire horse. What is the significance of that? Because it sounds powerful.
It is. You know, look at like just how fast the horse runs, right? So like you could think about the kind of the dexterity and the persistence, as well as this like intense fire, really.
It is so unique. So again, it is happening here at Crybaby Gallery from the 18th to the 22nd. It all begins tomorrow evening, I believe, at about 6 p.m. So come on down, check it out. I mean, Dundas West is a great area, so you have to come and hang out. We'll send things back inside to the studio.
All right, looks good. Thank you, Jess. All right, let's talk about the forecast, and I guess this might be the best day of the week to do something outside.
I know, you'd hope that we've turned a corner and that this is going to be the beginning of many more warm days and the sunshine. But yeah, there's a bit of a storm on the way, which I think might bum some people out because it's so nice today.
Today is false spring. We sometimes call it that. It gives us this idea that, oh, the seasons are changing, but hold your horses, because tomorrow we are looking at some pretty active weather, a couple of different types of precipitation, along with some pretty gusty winds. There's a lot to get to, so let's get right to it. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Now, we do hope you had a wonderful Family Day long weekend. This was yesterday, Family Day, out at Chicopee Ski Hill in Kitchener-Waterloo. Look how busy it was, and for good reason. Conditions were perfect. Temperatures were comfortable for spending some time outside. I do want to mention, though, Kitchener-Waterloo, where Chicopee is one of the communities under not only a freezing rain warning, but also an orange level freezing rain warning. So this is expected to be a high impact freezing rain event in areas like Kitchener, in the Guelph area. Hamilton is under a yellow level freezing rain advisory as well. It's a special weather statement for the west end of the GTA and downtown Toronto. We're likely to get some snow, some freezing rain, and some ice pellets. And then these communities that you see here in the lighter blue, this is a winter storm watch. So areas like Vaughan, Markham, north toward Barrie, and then southern Durham region, all included in this, with 10 to 15 centimeters of snow or ice pellets together expected to accumulate. So there's a lot going on here. All is quiet right now on the satellite and radar. We've said goodbye to the fog that we had this morning, and we're enjoying some sunshine. Here's the start of this low pressure system developing, and it's going to continue to start to brew up throughout the day today. It slides on by into tomorrow, and really this looks to be an all-day event for your Wednesday. So perhaps a little bit of light rain or even freezing rain beginning overnight tonight and before morning tomorrow. That's 3 a.m. Let's pause this during the morning rush. That's about 7:30. You can see right around the Golden Horseshoe pink. That's indicative of some freezing rain, perhaps some freezing on contact. Just be careful if you're walking on foot or if you're traveling by vehicle. Conditions could be quite slippery. Into the afternoon, we see a changeover in many areas to snow or ice pellets. Again, Hamilton, Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph remaining in that freezing rain likelihood. There's the drive home around 5 p.m. So some snow, but this is starting to taper off as we make our way into the evening hours. But there's a lot going on here. So this is what one model is suggesting as far as snow and ice pellet accumulation, maybe up to 10 centimeters in some areas. You can see just how widespread that same area under the freezing rain warning looks to be for some ice accretion, maybe up to 10 millimeters of it. And then rainfall. If we do manage to get some of that, it could be significant, but we're likely to see less rain if we get snow and more in the way of ice pellets and vice versa. Again, it's 6 degrees this hour at Pearson Airport. That's worth celebrating today. Overnight tonight, we're looking to drop to a low of about 1 degree. We hold steady near 0 for tomorrow. And again, that temperature right around freezing is what makes this a tricky weather forecast. All 3 different types of precipitation possible during the day. Thursday is a quieter day. And guess what? Another round of snow or mixing is possible for Friday. That's your look at the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Still to come, a closer look at the Prime Minister's new defense spending plan. We'll have those details when we come back. Prime Minister Mark Carney officially unveiled his government's new $6.6 billion national defense strategy this morning. And CTV's Rachel Aiello joins us live from Ottawa with a closer look. Rachel, big news. What are the key pillars of the Liberal government's new plan?
Yeah, good afternoon. So this is specifically the federal government's defense industrial strategy. This is focusing on how to build up Canada's defense sector to essentially equip the Canadian Armed Forces as much as possible from made in Canada goods. So broadly underpinning this entire strategy is this framework that they're calling build, partner, buy. So by default, the first priority will be building as much as possible in Canada. Where that's not possible, they'd next look to try to partner with other allied countries to cooperate on whatever defense procurement it may be. And then it would be a last case situation where they would need to buy off the shelf. But even in doing that, the strategy outlines how the federal government would want to have some control or conditions over those purchases to ensure that some degree of benefit or value is coming back to this country. Big picture, there's some numbers here that I think are pretty key to go over in terms of how ambitious this plan is. This strategy is outlining a commitment of 125,000 new Canadian jobs, increasing Canadian defense exports, so selling what we make in Canada to other countries by 50%, and then awarding more contracts to Canadian firms. They want that to go from around a third right now to 70%. So these are some ambitious targets. Broadly speaking, the Prime Minister today indicating that for too many decades, Canada has not invested enough in our defense. We have relied on where we are situationally and where we are geopolitically in our relations with other countries to protect us. And he is feeling now that it is no longer the time to be a dependent. So this is his plan to try to build up Canadian military resistance at home.
And of course, like you said, this is an ambitious plan. Any clarity from the Prime Minister on how they're going to get there?
So that really does seem to be the big question coming out of what we've learned both from the technical briefing and from the Prime Minister's announcement is there is a severe lacking of tangible metrics on accountability, on how Canadians are going to be able to hold the government to account on meeting these targets. Broadly, the Prime Minister did indicate there are some Canadian sectors that are strong now that they'd be looking to start with first. Aircrafts, engines, parts, combat vehicles, munitions, naval vessels. But repeatedly, when the Prime Minister was pressed on how is this even possible, he pivoted back more to the overarching why of why we're doing that strategy. Take a listen to a bit more of that.
Over the last few decades, Canada has neither spent enough on our defense nor invested enough in our defense industries. We've relied too heavily on our geography and others to protect us. And this has created vulnerabilities that we can no longer afford and dependencies that we can no longer sustain.
So clearly the Prime Minister is laying out a very high-stakes situation for this country, can no longer rely on other nations to help defend us or protect us. But I think going forward and as we watch reaction come in through the afternoon, the big question is going to be on how exactly the Canadian government plans to tool up all of these industries quick enough to make all of these commitments a reality.
All right, so there's more to come. CTV's Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Thank you.
Thank you.
A new study out of McMaster University identifies several key factors in children developing food allergies.
As CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, introducing certain foods early can help prevent allergies.
Eggs and milk are known to be common allergies early in a child's life.
Those tend to resolve by about age 6 to 8. In most individuals, about 80%.
But for the other 20%, food allergies can continue to pose a lifelong threat. McMaster researchers have been looking at 342 risk factors for babies developing food allergies.
International data, over 40 countries, and 2.8 million participants in 190 different studies.
They identified 4 factors as the most important: a family history of allergies, eczema as a baby, delayed introduction of common allergens such as eggs, peanut, or fish, and early use of antibiotics. Dr. Derek Chu says in some cases, antibiotic use in babies is essential, but in borderline cases, families and physicians should be aware it could be a factor in developing food allergies. Chu also says eczema is like a window to the immune system and an early indicator of a sensitive immune system.
What's showing in our studies that if you delay food allergen introduction, it actually increases the risk quite a bit, and consequently, if you introduce early, might protect.
Food Allergy Canada says this publication confirms that food allergy development in children is influenced by multiple factors. Early introduction and continued inclusion of allergenic foods, central to our Eat Early, Eat Often guidance, has shown promising results in reducing food allergy risk. Their website offers guidelines to introduce common allergens, like milk and eggs, to babies between 4 and 6 months of age, in the form of yogurt or mashed boiled eggs, for example, and make sure you keep them in your child's regular diet.
Risk factors are just risk factors. That means it's not a guarantee.
But he says being aware of them can allow us to monitor and tailor allergy prevention efforts for each child. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
It's one of the fastest growing fitness races out there. Hyrox has brought its functional workouts to Ontario.
CTV's Spencer Turcotte stopped by a competition in Kitchener that featured a first-of-its-kind race for youth.
From sled pushes and pulls to rowing and farmers' carries, you've entered the world of Hyrox.
Hyrox has basically taken over the world.
You may have heard of it, but what is it?
It is a functional fitness race. So there are 8 stations that we go through. Normally in a big race, we do 1 kilometer of running and then the stations afterwards.
At this Kitchener Hyrox event, hosted by Hybrid Series KW, a collaboration between F45 Dune and Limitless Performance, there is a twist: no running, just raw power.
The running is such a recovery component in the normal race, but really it's just a different way to get practice.
There are several divisions: individuals, doubles, pro, teams, and a new category called Young Stars for youth.
We are the first, I guess, racing business to bring Young Stars to Canada and North America, to be honest with you. So it is children ages 8 to 11 and 12 to 15 doing their first Hyrox race with us.
We caught up with some of the youth competitors at the finish line.
I practice, but not a crazy amount.
Easy breezy for Curtis, who treated this as a warm-up.
I got hockey practice.
His girlfriend Ashley competed too.
Oh my gosh, I was so out of breath. I'm not used to this kind of activity.
She's interested in doing Hyrox again, but that's enough activity for her for the day.
Well, I'm just gonna hang out with him until hockey practice.
About 350 athletes competed in the Family Day Fitness Challenge, all different ages and abilities.
It's allowed me to stay active and continue to have goals in my pregnancy. I'm 8 months pregnant.
Despite the extra cargo, she still only competed in the individual category.
Baby's really happy and active.
If you're looking to push yourself to the max, the next Canadian Hyrox race is in Ottawa in May. Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Kitchener.
Good to know. Still to come, the rising cost of living has many Canadians rethinking their retirement plans. We'll have more on the concerns when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Retirement plans are getting a rework as some Canadians grapple with the rising cost of living. A new survey from BMO found nearly 75% of respondents say rising costs have left them uncertain about whether or not they'll have enough money to retire. Meanwhile, 66% of people say inflation is already impacting their ability to save and invest for their golden years. Experts say a key to addressing these concerns is to include inflation assumptions in financial plans.
Today marks the final day of screenings at the Beach's Cineplex location. Earlier this month, the theater announced it would be closing after 20 years in the neighborhood. Guests who attend the show today will receive free popcorn with the purchase of a ticket. According to the city's building application status tracker, there's an application to convert the building into a wellness facility.
A collaboration between McDonald's and Drake has been released today. Posters have been popping up around the city teasing the collaboration. The poster includes both the McDonald's and OVO logos with the slogan, "Where Night Owls Land." So far, McDonald's has not provided details on what the new meal includes.
Coming up, the first solar eclipse of 2026. We'll have more on where the celestial event will be visible when we come back. The first solar eclipse of the year is visible over Antarctica today. The celestial event will only be fully visible from the Earth's southernmost continent. During this type of eclipse, the moon appears smaller because it's further away from the Earth, so it does not completely block out the sun. On August 12th, there's expected to be a total solar eclipse visible from Greenland, Iceland, Spain, Russia, and part of Portugal. Parts of North America, Europe, and Africa will be able to see a partial eclipse. All right.
And our view of the city is being eclipsed right now by the mist out there, although really today's the best day of the week weather-wise. I mean, as far as this desk is concerned.
Very true, but of course we've got some bad weather to come.
Mild today, some sun mixing with that mist, but tomorrow it's going to be pretty active once again. And not just the typical winter storms that we've now become quite used to, but we're getting some freezing rain, some ice pellets in the mix as well. We've got a special weather statement for the city of Toronto. Freezing rain warnings to our west and winter storm watches and warnings to the north and to the east. Overnight tonight, we're going to drop to about +1 for the low, and then we're going to hover around 0 for tomorrow. That is cold enough for there to be snow. It's also mild enough for there to be freezing rain or simply rainfall. That's why this forecast is a little bit tricky, but plan on all day tomorrow, bringing us a mix of all three of those types of precip. And yeah, some ice pellets in there as well. 7-day forecast looks like this, a little bit of a break from the activity on Thursday, and then we're back into another potentially couple rounds of active weather into the weekend. Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day. I thought Monday.